T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. Trap Talk presents Holy Gecko Sessions. What is good, everybody? I'm your boy, MJ. Happy Sunday. What's up? If this is your first time tapping in, do your boy a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. That bell right there. Smash the shit out of it. Drop a comment. But more importantly, hit that notification bell. That way you're on top of all my podcasts that I drop here on the Trap Talk podcast. Appreciate all my subscribers. Man, if you don't even subscribe, you come back and watch. I gotta say thank you so much just for even spending your life with me. Because man, we're growing together. This is awesome. Been super excited ever since I brought this Gecko segment to my Sundays. But it's gonna be great, man. We got a good homie in the building, someone who came highly recommended by people I look up to. Man, early birds are up and jumping. I just want to say, guys, before we get moving into things, tonight's episode is brought to you by Freedom Breeder, the original stainless steel racks made out of the United States, the real deal, Holyfield Freedom Breeder. Shout out to Jesse and the entire Freedom Breeder crew. If you got a Freedom Breeder rack, you know where that's at, man. Professional level of reptile keeping or rodent breeding. OG shit. Thank you so much, Freedom Breeder. I want to say, if you're looking for exclusive content, man, if you're looking to support more than what you see here, you know, if you want to do, actually, you know, fuck, if you want to tap in more than what you see here on the podcast every week, go down to the link below, join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Come fuck with us, man. Come join the family. As soon as you tap into the Patreon, you get a link to the Discord. The Discord connects you with over 150 fucking trappers, man. We are just growing. You want to sell something, you want to buy something, you want to fucking ask about something, you want to, you know, it's so many different channels cracking off in the Discord. Everyone's growing, everyone's knowing about what's happening. And I want to say, come join us, come fuck with us. My Patreon members, I love you guys so much. Thank you for your ongoing support. Man, I don't deserve you guys, but the fact that I have my family growing, we're just going to do big things with this, man. You know, like Trap Fest 2023. Woo! I'm excited for Trap Fest. I got some sick ass motherfuckers rolling up to Trap Fest next year. And yeah, all Patreon members invited to Trap. Dude, the only people invited to Trap Fest are Patreon members and any guests I've had onto the show. Okay, personal homies of mine too, but that's it. It's all for like this. You feel me? Patreon members, I love you guys so much. Like I said, go down to the link below. Come be a part of the coolest reptile family in the world, the Trap Talk Patreon family. Love my Patreon family. Go give me a follow on Instagram if you want to know what I have going on with my own projects. You know, head over to TrapGod619 on Instagram. Go give me a follow. You can also go follow my podcast's Instagram page as well, the Trap Talk Podcast. And then, of course, guys, if you really want to stay on top of what I have going on, because I'm going to be doing updates on my website as far as giveaways and stuff like that. Really cool stuff coming to my website. So head over to trappodcast.com. Go check out my new website. Like I said, a lot of stuff coming to this website. It is just on and cracking. So please head over there. Check it out, man. You can find all my plugs there, everything that I have going on. You guys know that I'm nonstop grinding. So if you really want to know what MJ does all in a whole, then go over to trappodcast.com and go check me out. Appreciate all the love and support. And let's get the likes up, okay? I know this is going to be a cracking ass episode. So why don't we just go ahead and get that out of the way now, and let's get the likes on and cracking. Early birds, who's here right now? Who's ready to go? Cody Watkins. Never heard of a Cody Watkins. What up, Cody? Thanks for tapping in. Appreciate you. Let's have a good show. Julio Fulio, my dog right there. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. That's Julio Fulio. Heathen Hatchery, my dog. Brian Heathen Hatchery. It's my dog right there. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Just had a podcast with him. New Breed on the Block series. Go check it out. He killed it. The homie Blake from Royal Bama Reptiles. What is up, player? Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. I love it. JKJ Reptiles, another Trap Talk Patreon savage in the building. Joe DeStefano, a New Yorker in Miami, just killing it. Or Florida, right? Not Miami, but anyways, it's my dog right here, Joe. Go give him a follow on Instagram. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. The homie Adler, Secret Weapon, my dog right here. Trap Talk Patreon member. Team Zoo Dreams all day, every day. This motherfucker, we got things planned, don't we, Adler? It's going to be sick. Chantel, what is up, homegirl? Pacific Rim Serpents, Trap Talk Patreon member, Team Zoo Dreams. She's part of the management team. That's my girl right there. What's up, Chantel? Thanks for tapping in. Sean Perry, Sound Serpents. What is up, player? Thanks for tapping in. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. He's actually an OG right here. It's my boy. Wise Guys. Forget about it. OG supporter right here. Thanks for tapping in, Wise Guy. Appreciate all the love, dog, for reals. Sunshine State Sulfurs. What up, player? Thanks for tapping in. OG Patreon member in the building. Trap Talk Patreon Savage, my boy, Big Boy. 1776 Exotics. And he's the Lobster King. Slithery Serpents. What's up, homie? Thanks for tapping in. It's my dog right here, Shane. Ricky Bobby SRT. It's my boy right here, man. I feel like we're just homies now, huh, Shane? Me and you, dog, to the top. Go give him a follow, please. Big things in the works, my boy Shane. Trap Talk Patreon member, Team Zoo Dreams, Trap Talk Management, all day, every day. That's my dog. Buckeye Morse, what is up? Thanks for tapping in. Jay Juarez, what's up, primo? Who? Dog, you got my last name, bro. What's good? Who are you? All right. Thanks for being here, primo. These nuts, my boy Dylan. These Balls and Exotics, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Look who it is. It's the best dress, the GQ of the show. It is Troy Schroeder. It's my boy. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Father Blue. Hey, player, can you hit me up? I need to order some of those cup. You know those things you've been hooking up motherfuckers with? I need that. Why can't I fucking think right now? The cup holders, the elevated cup holders. Hit me up, dog, please. I would love to place an order. I need to get some of those cracking. Uniquely Muted Morphs, what is up? Thanks for tapping in. Pierce 720, what is up? Thanks for tapping in. Region Reptile, what is up? Thanks for tapping in. Chad Corpus, what is up? Thanks for tapping in. Guys, I want to say new stuff coming in 2023. But right now, I just want all you guys to give my boy Doug ridiculous racks a follow. I'm happy to announce my very first Gecko breeder sponsor going into 2023. My boy Doug. I'm so happy. I got a Gecko breeder sponsor. That's fucking next level. Thank you so much, Doug. Big things in the work with me and the homie Doug. And yeah, go give this guy a follow right now on Instagram. Go check out what he has. Some of the fucking nicest leechies in the game. Hands down, highly respected. My boy Doug. Thank you so much for your support, Doug. And we'll talk soon. East Valley Exotics. What is up? Thanks for tapping in. Josh Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. That's my dog, OG in the building. Bods Exotic Reptiles. What is up? Thanks for tapping in. EJD Superior Reptiles. What is up? Thanks for tapping in. And the Gecko Pod. What is up, Gecko Pod? Dude, listen, the Gecko Pod is cracking. Just want to let you guys know right now. I happen to hear an episode or two. Shit's fucking sick. They're bringing some heat on that show. So make sure you guys go check out the Gecko Pod on YouTube and go tap in because it's AJ and his other homie. I forgot his name. I'm sorry. I'm not good with remembering people I don't know, but it's AJ's homie. We'll talk more about this. Let's go. Who the fuck is ready for tonight? Because I know I am. We got 47 people in the building. Let's hit that like button. But guys, it is time for the Trap Talks Holy Breeder session. My boy AJD Reptiles is going to be bringing some heat. So I need you guys to stay hydrated. Get whatever it is that you're drinking to get your mind right. I got that decoy, that 2020. Oh, it's red. It's fine. It's nice. I'm feeling hot. I'm feeling ready. I hope you guys are ready, but it's about that time. Let's fucking go. AJD Reptiles, ladies and gentlemen. Woo!
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it.
And we are live with the homie AJ from AJ Reptiles. What up,
What's
player?
up?
How you doing, man?
Thanks for having me, man. It's good to be
pleasure.
here.
Pleasure. Like I said, you came highly recommended. I mean, fuck it. Let's just say the one person that you came recommended by, the homie Brian Susan. That guy's a G. Top
He's the
G.
best, man. I'm glad to call him a friend and glad to be able to share the same stage as him a little while after him. So it's good to be here.
Right. So first and foremost, man, why don't you let a lot of us don't know what part of the country you're in and whatnot. Where you residing at right now?
Yeah, so I live in central North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay.
But I'm actually originally from the suburbs of Chicago. So about 50 miles outside of Chicago, lived there most of my life, only the past couple years down south.
What brought you down south?
A combination of family, cost of living, and being able to get land and property that I could go full time with my animals on. That was a big part of it for me, was just allowing me to be able to take that jump to full time with the geckos.
You want to talk about the jump I wish I could take, but I can't, because simply, I mean, I'm not going to lie. The shit that I need here in San Diego, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. It's fucking over $1 million. It's my first home.
Yeah.
And so me and my wife are like, dude, we're like hunting for a fucking needle in the haystack, bro. It's nuts. You know, we're not looking in the expensive part of San Diego, which is like inland by the beach and shit. We're in the fucking countryside, which is still about 20 minutes from the beach, but that's fine with us, you know. But man, what my life could be if I say fuck it and just go to well, I don't want to say Georgia, because Georgia's not doing good right now. But the country, but like, you know, cheaper property. Right? Like we looked at Oregon, we looked at Washington for a little bit, and even there, like what I can get up there,
That's
it's
expensive
like,
too.
Yeah, but it's not
for the West Coast.
Yeah. Right. I just need property, bro. Like I just need, you know, if I need to build a facility in another facility, I want to be able to do that. So like very wise of you, because at the end of the day, I think anybody who does animals full time, shit, man, they purposely locate somewhere where property's cheap and they don't have to worry about shit like that, you know?
Another big thing for me was actually shipping weather. So living where I live now, I probably gained 4 or 5 more months that I can ship in compared to Illinois.
Yeah,
which is a game changer.
It's crazy because I see so many people like, this is the last week of shipping, and like, you know, yeah, definitely, like, but like, fuck, through Cali, and
not for me.
You know, I got you. You good Thursday? You know, but
yeah,
man, that's what, you know, that's why it's up to you to be smart about where you're gonna go take this place, man. But you know, let's kind of take things back to where it led. You know, I mean, you're as a kid all about this shit, I'm assuming, or what? This goes back to you. How far back?
Yeah. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, you know, everybody's same story. I know I hear everybody we interview, everybody that I've heard interviewed about geckos says the same thing: catching toads and salamanders, the snakes outside.
Right.
And then transition to being able to keep stuff inside, and it's all downhill from there. Right. So start with probably basic stuff. Like I had anoles, like green anoles, and I was breeding those. And, you know, I had some leopard geckos and then crested geckos. And I've had a lot of species over the years. Things have come and gone. But always been a gecko guy. I'll say that. Almost entirely have been a gecko guy my whole life.
So, you know, it's funny. Some people are the kind of person they are because they can only work with certain stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, God bless the parents, but some parents aren't going to allow certain fucking things in their house, you know? So you said you're a gecko guy, but were your parents always down for whatever reptile you wanted to keep? Or did you have to like warm up to that? Like how was it delegating your parents with the reptiles? I'm curious.
Yeah, my parents were super supportive. So, you know, honestly, I think the thing that was probably, it wasn't a hard sell, but my dad made me work for it a little bit. The idea that I was going to make a business out of this. Because really when I started breeding crested geckos, I was kind of business forward right when I started, which was when I was about 13. So I was young. But my focus was business. So he really kind of made me prove to him, like, all right, what's the business plan? Where are you going to sell these things? Because back then there was not many outlets for it. So I had to be a little bit more creative on where I sold them. There was no morph market. There wasn't Facebook at that time, any of these things, Instagram. So I had to kind of know what I was going to do. And he luckily was on board once I kind of told him what the plan was. So, but I could have had anything. I could have had snakes, could have had chameleons. It just wasn't what kind of caught my interest. And I've worked with some snakes, at a place that I used to work. I worked for like a wholesaler. And so I'd care for a lot of different snakes and ball python imports and all different stuff. And so I'm familiar, but they never really grabbed me. So
what was it kind of as you were growing up, learning more about what you're doing that was inspiring to want to turn this into a business? Like, was there anyone you were hanging around where like kind of witnessing, killing it in the game that you're like, fuck, like, dude, that could be me,
Well, there wasn't really anyone killing it when I started. It was pretty much all hobbyists. I would say other than like Alan Rapashi was obviously killing it because he was breeding all the geckos for Petco and selling the food. So that was a guy that was killing it. But when I started, the most expensive crested gecko you could buy was like $100. So it wasn't like there was this established market of morphs and established business models that you could really see. So my thought initially was just, I'm going to try to breed as nice of ones as I can. I'm going to sell them at my local shows and sell them on like kingsnake.com and the places that I had available to me back then.
So what year from you remember was it when shit started turning around and getting like, the lineages and whatnot, like stuff started becoming more expensive?
There was two different jumps. I would say the first jump was like probably like 2010. And then the big jump was 2014.
Wow.
2014 was I say like 2014, 2015 was when Korean import started. And so that was one thing, but also some smaller breeders in the market were starting to ask higher prices. They were asking back then, it was crazy that anyone would ask $400, $500, $600 for a gecko. And so 2014 was kind of that pivot point where that was becoming less uncommon. And there was people that were actually able to start making a living or, selling animals at a price where they could kind of afford to grow. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't think like I didn't think all this was this brand new. It's pretty fucking
At
new.
least with crested geckos being like commercially viable as like a business, because crested geckos are starting to, kind of approach, when you walk around Tinley, there's almost as many cresteds as there are ball pythons. So it's really sneaking up there really fast.
But it's not as far as the ball python game is, obviously, right?
No. Not as much time's elapsed, not as many genetic mutations, stuff like that. So,
which is exciting because that just means how much to come. You know what I mean? Like you guys are fucking opened up a goddamn another door to this shit. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, we've opened Pandora's box and new genes are popping out like every 6 months to a year right now. So it's going crazy.
Well, let's talk about the foundation of your projects, AJ. I'm curious as far as, maybe where you started and where you're at, or have you always been where you're at, where you started, if that makes sense? I mean, where are you at with your projects?
So I'll do a brief synopsis of the past.
Sure.
So there wasn't really many things you could choose to work with. There's core kind of genetic mutations in crested geckos. So I'll just say this. The main species I work with is crested geckos, but I probably breed like 15 different things at my house, different species. Right. So, but crested geckos are 80%. So I'll focus on that for sake of consistency. But crested geckos are, really broken down into like pinstripes, tigers, harlequins, patternless, Dalmatians. There's a handful of morphs that are kind of the core things. And so back in the day, it was a little bit of all of that. And then over time, it's kind of narrowed into pinstripe projects primarily. And then now I've really kind of blown the doors open, and I'm working with a bunch of different stuff. So kind of a wider approach ever since I went full time. Right. I have a lot more capacity, obviously, time and space to be able to kind of widen my view of projects. So right now I feel like I'm working with almost everything I can currently.
And I kind of want to stick about the basis of what you work with. That is the crested gecko, because you don't work with any other species, do you?
I do. I work with leeches. I work with Saracenorum, gargoyles, cave geckos, a bunch of different stuff.
We'll talk about that. We'll get to that. I want to know more about because the crested is your foundation, you would say, though, right? That's
cresteds are 80%.
80. Okay, perfect. All right. So going back to, as far as you kind of seeing the evolving of the crested gecko game, obviously there weren't anyone really making crazy. I guess prior 2010, no one was really dropping too much bills on geckos. I mean, when were you actually looking at geckos as investments in your, in your career? Like, when did you actually start going to breeders and maybe spending some coin on a crested gecko?
I mean, I was trying to from day one. I tried to buy the nicest animals I could buy back in the day. And then anytime I saw something that was an upgrade for me, I'd buy it. Right. And then I would say for a while, though, probably 2010 to maybe like 2014, 2015, my collection was pretty closed. I had a bunch of stuff that I was working on, and I didn't really buy much. Those were also the years I was in college. So I was kind of like managing the collection a couple days a week, riding the train into the city to and from college to take care of my collection. So it was a little bit more of maintenance mode at that point. But then as soon as I got out of school, I was back to buying and upgrading all the time. So
yeah, I mean, it's something that fascinates me, or when I talk to people who were involved in this game, like dealing with school and whatnot, like, man, like, school's such an easy way to fuck off and just be a waste, like it's so easy, and I can tell you what, I'm so glad I met this wonderful world I'm in after I was over partying, because this and partying just doesn't mix. I don't feel like I just feel like, especially, I mean, at least the way I used to party, like I used to not want to deal with anything. You know what I mean? And so, and I love how therapeutic this is, and how it reminds me how I don't want to be fucking a waste and whatnot, man. But like to go to college, I couldn't imagine holding on to this. But I mean, your college years, right? Like, how deep were you into it? Like, were you keeping things kind of like, steady, or were you just like, hey, I still want to grow? Like, what was sky still the limit in your eyes when it came to you in the middle of college and whatnot?
It was, so I kind of shrunk. I would say my business got pretty big by the end of high school for me. I was producing the most animals I'd ever produced probably when I was 17 or 18. And then my dad actually had a really good business advice tip for me. He said, it takes the same amount of care to take care of a expensive animal as it does an inexpensive animal. So I think it's time to trim the fat, get it down to only the highest end before you go to school, and your business probably won't suffer much at all, which he was right. So kind of went into school pretty light on animals. Maybe had like, I don't know, 50 adults or something at that point. And then came out of college and just kind of hit the ground running then. So the collection quickly scaled up as soon as I got out.
Trimming the fat is like, I think the whole definition of the ball python hobby right now. Everyone's freaking the fuck out, because they're not selling shit and whatnot. But also, I feel like trimming that fat is something you should be doing at the beginning of every year. You know what I mean? You have to be looking at stuff just to, because at the end of the day, even though you're taking care of something that's just in a rack, or if it's just something that is not much different from everything else you're taking with, but understand what is your purpose with it. Like, do you have game plan with it, or is it just sitting here aging? You know what I mean? I looked at stuff that I've only bred once, and obviously I'm taking a huge direction change where I feel like the ball python's going due to people like fucking Kabelka and Miguel and other people dropping game on where these projects are going. I just started taking advantage of that. So right away, the stuff that I've already bred once, I'm not going to use the next year. So
Yeah.
I had already knew that, and I made sure at the beginning of this year I found out who to place these snakes with. And there's always somebody who's a few steps, if not hella steps behind you, and want to just they just need that next level, So man, that's why I'm blessed for. I'm like, God damn, there's so many people that are new into this that fuck with me, that think about how, let's talk about this. Edgy, was there anybody to put you on and like sell you some stuff that was doing good with them, like even like proven breeder stuff or stuff like that? Have you ever taken over somebody's stock that really helped you out or kind of leveled you out at all, like just because the person believed in you or something like
that? Honestly, there wasn't really, like, in my local area, there wasn't much as far as breeders that I was friendly with. So there like when I would vend my local reptile show, there'd be like one other person selling geckos. So it was pretty, for a lot of years, I kind of was lone wolfing it as far as local. But I would say when I in that 2009, 2010 era, I became really close with LAC Herps, the Gilpins, and Derek Dunlop. Derek Dunlop is like the legend of the gecko game in general, and other things too, not just geckos. But he, I wouldn't say he ever like gifted me stuff, but they definitely gave me opportunities to buy animals that maybe they wouldn't have wanted to sell publicly. We'll say that.
I know,
like, let me buy holdbacks and stuff. So
how about this? Can you relate with this kind of feeling here, AJ, when like you have something that maybe it's just not as important as it is for a lot of other stuff, but you want to see that legacy continue. You still want to see that animal do good. Have you ever just put somebody on yourself and be like, hey dude, like fucking, I'm going to put this in your hands. I know you want to do good by it, and kill it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely been projects over the years where maybe I lost interest or it wasn't kind of going in the direction that I wanted to go, but I knew somebody that was working with it. So I'd reach out and be like, hey, I'll give you the opportunity if you want these. And I've definitely done that a couple times over the years.
I think that's what goes full circle. You know what I mean? Like I talk about this all the time. Like I got, I met all different kinds of people coming into this game, but I also met the ones who put me on and took care of me. Like my boy, Miguel Garcia, he's definitely like somebody who I wouldn't even be close to where I'm at with my ball python, even though my ball python stuff isn't compared to most of these other guys, but like it's where it's at because of people like Miguel. And all I could think about is how doing stuff for for almost anyone in this game, but imagine someone who's trying to be somebody as far as like to themselves. They want to hit a certain goal with their projects, and you help them out with that. And it just brings such a light energy in you. It's crazy. It's like, it feels good.
Yeah. Just, I don't know. We're all in this big community together, and we got to kind of prop each other up. I love when one of my favorite things is when I go to shows and like young kids are clearly into it and they know what they're looking for. I will give kids like the best deals ever if they come up and shop with me.
It's like
basically any kid that knows a little bit what they're talking about, everything's half off, like instantly for me. So,
right.
I see that and I think about myself when I was 12, 13 years old walking around a show. So
I won't make this about ball python customers or ball python shoppers or whatnot, but goddamn, bro, let me just tell you, it's something else dealing with those motherfuckers sometimes, but dealing with almost anyone, you know what I mean? As far as when it comes to selling something, I'm just curious, what is it like selling gecko, crested geckos on either a morph market or, what's the comparison selling it online from the show? Which one do you prefer and whatnot? I'm just curious overall, like the customer market in the gecko breeder world.
I'm sure it's like anything else. There's, your ideal customers, and then there's people that are difficult as far as asking a million questions or maybe window shopping or any of that. And I would say I historically have been probably not super warm to those people, but I've had like I guess a little bit of a light bulb turn on since making this my full-time gig, where it's like,
me too. I can't wait. I think we're going to connect dots right here, but please finish.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is like, I don't know, man. I'm just grateful for anybody that's interested in the animals, even if they don't pull the trigger. Like if they are interested enough to talk about them and inquire, I'm always down to talk to them. So
yeah,
I maybe can't talk to you for hours and hours and hours on end. But I try to make time for anybody that's interested in talking about the animals, or even just asking me a question about anything, which has increased a lot since doing more like this podcast I do and different stuff I do online. The amount of questions that I get has skyrocketed. So I think that that's just a huge way you can give back, is just being available to those people.
And, you know, some people, no matter how you treat them, and this isn't good, but no matter how you treat them, they'll still buy an animal from you if you have what they want. Right. And I feel like a lot of breeders take advantage of that. A lot of breeders that, you know, in the ball python game, even in the chondro game or any fucking game, when they have an upper hand, they feel like they can just treat people however the fuck they want, you know? I feel like the whole, you can't do this because I can tell you one thing, even if you get away with it, that shit will catch up to you. Like that shit catches up quick, you know?
And if you have a bad attitude, maybe you need to hire somebody to be your inbound inquiry persons.
Yeah, for real. I know, dude, because listen, there's a lot that some people deal with. Like some people expand themselves so crazy to where all they could really handle is the animals and the breeding side. But then when it comes to dealing with people on top of all that shit, it's like, boom, dude. Like I'm telling you, I struggle sometimes. I really do, man. But listen, I feel like anyone is just curious, just like I was at one point. You know, there are going to be a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions, you know. I buy.
I'll give this example.
Go ahead.
I'll give this example. So Harry is the guy that I do the Gecko pod with.
Harry, thank you. Okay, Harry.
So I'll help you out. I'll help you out on that.
I won't forget that, Harry. Harry, dude, Harry, and he's Asian. Okay, so I have another homie named Harry who's Asian. It's my fucking dog. He went to my wedding. Harry Wang, that's his name. So yeah, I'll remember that big time. Easy, Harry. That's what's up. Go ahead, continue.
So I'll give this story. So Harry reached out to me like, you know, a year and a half ago or so ago. Sent me kind of a cold Instagram message, just kind of like, hey man, you know, want to see what you had available. Proceeded over the next couple weeks to like, we talked a lot and he was asking for a bunch of pictures and all this stuff. And in my mind, I was cynical thinking, this guy's not going to buy anything. I don't know. Why am I worried about this? You know, but I was like, okay, I just got to see it through. I got to take good care of him, whatever. He bought a bunch of animals and now we have a podcast together. So if that tells you anything,
it's funny how that
it
works.
Just says you got to treat everybody as if they're they're your next best customer, because they very well could be.
You never know. Dude, here's the thing. Like you just never know. And you know, I said this before, I think a couple podcasts ago, where like I you know, listen, I probably was having a bad day, but either way, this guy was kind of pushing me at this point because how much he was fucking wasting my time. But I said something in regards to calling him a window shopper, and he complained to Morph Market to me about it. And then John, it wasn't John, but somebody working for John was just telling me hey man, just try to be nice. And I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm like, what the fuck? But what's crazy is 6 months later, he comes and spends like $3,000 with me. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, dude, you're weird, but whatever. I'm like, maybe I'm weird. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm the weird one, in which I know I could be weird. So I'm like, dude, you could have just like maybe if, and you know, what's funny, like I turned the leaf with this guy, you know, he's probably going to buy more from me now, you know, all because, you know, like whatever the fuck it was, it shouldn't have been. Luckily he was fucking trying to move on with it, and so was I. Who gives a fuck? Let's get back to business, because it's all about business, right? A lot of people need to put their emotions, especially myself, just leave it at the door, because when it comes to it's just business. Like, you know, I worked for Verizon for fucking goddamn 11 years, you know what I mean? And maybe I was just really good at closing sales, but still like whatever. If somebody didn't want to get a phone or go with the fucking program, see you later. Like, okay, I got to go to the next one. I got to go. I wish you the best. You know what I mean? But you always got to be cordial. You always got to be a professional because we're professionals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people want to
shop. I mean, if this is your job, you got to treat it like your job, and you got to treat people with some level of respect and I don't know. Yeah. You just got to treat people well.
People just want to be valued, man.
Yeah.
And,
people want to feel like you're giving them the time of day.
Yeah. But here's the thing. There's a line that's crossed with that. Like, you know what? Because I have people who literally pay me for my time. And it's crazy that I can even say that. But I have people that I try to dedicate certain times throughout the day to even have conversations with or talk to, right? And there's just, and not even talking about sales. I was just talking about Instagram inquiries, like people who just hit you up. There's some people who just expect a deep conversation. And I'm sorry, but I've never fucking even spoken to you before. I don't want to share kind of what my thoughts are on this because I don't know who you are, you know, but that's also another dangerous game to play. Like, you know, you never know who's really asking you something. Like, I don't know, man. At the end of the day, it's all about having your shit together and being more professional, I feel like.
Yeah, totally.
So let's talk about how things are currently with your production, AJ. And what I mean by that, like, how much are you at the point of your career as far as every egg that's being produced and whatnot, you know, and holdbacks being sat on? Let's kind of talk about that part.
As far as like yearly production or how many you think I've produced ever?
I mean, like, I mean, not ever, but I'm talking about as of this year. Where's the growth been this year? You know, are you outdoing last year? Like, you know what I mean? Or, I mean, are you sitting on more holdbacks this year? Are you selling more this year? What's happening this year?
Yeah, so I would say my production has probably from 2021 to 2022 doubled. And then also my number of species probably doubled as well. So variety of species as well as just number of offspring was crazy. And as far as holdbacks, my holdback rack is jam full between stuff that I've produced and stuff that I've traded for or bought. So there's a bunch of different stuff that is, you know, like a bunch of this stuff is stuff I bought or stuff that I've traded for, or stuff that I've made. It's like, that's an animal that I bought. That's empty back. So that's an incomplete dominant gene.
Fuck, that is nuts, bro. What the hell is that?
That's a red phantom lily white.
Oh my Lord. Oh my God. Okay, so these are holdback. Okay, and then hold on. I want to talk about.
So a bunch of this stuff is holdback stuff. Dalmatians, empty backs.
Yep. Okay, shouts out to me, Brian. Asians represent, but why does a homie Asian hate on Dalmatians for?
Brian who? I don't know. He's a Dal hater.
What the fuck? These are sick as fuck.
As Kenny would say, he's got to come to the spot side.
Yeah, come to the spotty side, dog.
They got me this past year. They finally got me to the spot side.
So let me ask you, you know, I mean, this is really awesome, bro. I feel like we're looking at completely different projects here when I'm looking at these, right? But yeah, when it comes to the pairing of these projects, are these, a lot of these coming out differently looked, or they all come the same? Like, how is it that these are being produced, like, you know, individually? Like, you know, obviously, like, let's talk about the parents of this one, right? Does every fucking one that comes out of this parent look like this?
So this animal is this is called a super empty back. So think of empty back as it's an incomplete dominant gene that has a het form, but it's a visual het. So there's a little bit of a marker as far as it carrying one copy of the gene, but this is an animal with two copies of empty back in one animal.
Right.
So empty back it's not a new thing to exist, but it is a new thing to be cultivated and actually bred by people. So,
wow. Yeah, man. Guys, please go give my boy a follow on Instagram, AJD Reptiles. Dude, honestly, I mean, these are really fucking clean looking, okay? Now, I'm assuming this is the lily white stuff, or is this not lily white? What is this?
Nope, that's not lily white. That's just like, that's what people would call like yellow Harley or creamsicles.
Well, that's cool looking.
Yeah. Yellow animals or orange animals have been kind of my trademark for 10 plus years.
Wow. Now, let's kind of, I'm such a dark guy, right? Like I'm all about the fucking crazy dark shit. Oh my God, this thing is sick. Like something like this, right? But what is this? What is this compared to price and something like the lighter or orange stuff that you have going on?
It's relatively similar. So this is an animal that's super soft scale, but also dark base with very minimal amount of brown pigment in it. So they show up more black. So all of this is just selective breeding or selective buying for the traits you want. But as far as price, an animal like this as an adult is probably a few $1,000s. And a yellow is maybe a little less, but every year it changes what people like and what people, don't like. Sick. So it's all transient.
Dude, okay, so this doesn't include Doug, because Doug was somebody, and we haven't even talked about your lychee stuff yet. But Doug was somebody who he's my favorite lychee breeder. Like he has lychee shit that I'm obsessed with. You, my man, no disrespect to anyone I've had on, but you have the sickest crested gecko shit that I'm like considering.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
You know what I mean? Maybe we're considering a little something. I don't get ahead of anyone. Nobody out there get ahead of themselves. I'm just saying this is not like, what the fuck? This is crazy, bro. So this is so this isn't from you. This is from somebody else.
Yeah, that's from Christy. So that's a red based tricolor is what they'd call that.
Okay, tight. So Christy, how many people are like Christy or like out there that you are trying to work with and get stuff from? Is it like countless or is it like a few?
I'd say it's less. People that are like really high on my respect list is probably 20 or less. I would say like people that I want to be real close with, connections, as far as trading, it's a relatively small list. I will buy geckos from people outside of that 20, but as far as like, I think their collection is like killer and want to associate with them business wise, it's probably a pretty small list.
Okay. Now,
no hate to anybody else, but as far as like,
no, I mean, come on, no, you're just keeping it real. Listen, at the end of the day, it's nothing personal. It's like you need to have shit that's most relevant to what you are looking to accomplish. Like I don't think anyone kind of takes any kind of offense to that. I mean, I'm sure they just want to get there someday. But like, for instance, right, like this is something you inquired from somebody else. What would be your game plan with something like this once it's ready to breed?
Yeah. So I have a line of animals that they're pretty much black and white, or technically it's lavender and white, dark. It's like a dark gray / light purple that fires to black. And then the secondary color is white. So I'm going to breed that into this to hopefully make some cleaner versions of this, maybe pull a little bit of the brown out of the red. Okay. And then make some high white red tricolors with this animal.
Oh, what the fuck is this, bro? That's crazy looking too.
So that's tricolor out of that line that I just was talking about. So that's my Felix Julia line is what it's called.
Wow. Now, I mean, what out of everything that we're looking at, including the Dalmatians, what is the cream of the crop to you? Like, what's the highest end shit that you work with?
I think as far as stuff I'm proud of, it's the Felix Julia stuff. That's Exanthic.
That is so sick, bro.
Yeah.
Looks fine. Look at that. Look at the tail. That's so amazing. Okay. Did we already look at that? The Julia shit?
Here, that animal that scroll down a good amount and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Pick that animal and go up a couple. That animal there.
This one? Right here?
Down one, I think.
This one? The white one?
That one. Yeah.
This one. Okay. Wow. Okay. What is
This is like my cream of the crop stuff that I'd say I'm most known for.
Holy
so to get
shit.
an animal that is like real cool hued like that, it almost looks like it has like blue undertones to it. And then it's got no third color. A lot of people really like tricolors, so they'd have orange in that mix. And this is a line I've taken a different direction of trying to be more like dark gray and white. So
Holy shit.
that is kind of my cream of the crop as far as the stuff that's like hottest in the inquiries and price. It's this stuff.
Now, what is something like this? How sought after is something like this? So you can, like, you know, we haven't talked about the, you know, Altitude Exotics, Las Vegas story thing, you know, with that. But what is something like this? Like, how many people are coming after you with something like this? Let me ask you that.
A lot. I would say the past few years, I've put almost none for sale publicly. So almost all of them have been sold through DMs or traded for leverage for me to get projects like Exanthics or things like that. So they have not been sold to the public for a while. This year, I'll sell a few.
Okay, I was going to ask you, when is that going to change? When, I mean,
this year I'll sell a few. I'm hoping to sell a few in the next couple months. So,
and I'm curious, man. You know, I would love to be in your shoes some days. Like everything that I'm doing behind me, at some point, I hope it puts me in a position where I'm like you, like motherfucker. You wish I'm gonna sell this shit, and I will maybe at some day, right? Like I can't keep it all forever, even though I want to. But I want to, for sure, be in that position, right? Even though that's kind of, it could be a fucking double-edged sword, right? As far as, because if it came down to it, I wish I could handpick and select who will buy my animals, but how, you know, that's not always the case, right? How you going to delegate? How you going to put out? Go ahead. You were going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to ask, turn the tables a little bit. What's your plan as far as, building a business towards that goal? What's that look like for you?
My business is the ball pythons. This isn't a business to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, this is chondros behind you. But
yeah. This is emeralds and con. This is like what I'm not good at, basically.
No shame in saying that.
Okay, it's not that I'm not good at. I'm being hard on myself. It's just I don't have the experience as far as like how many times I pair. Like I just paired emeralds for the first time this year. The chondros is my 4th year at it. It's been pretty rough, but I've gotten eggs. I have one, that's hanging in there. I don't fucking know. But anyways, like this is really driving me to be my best I could possibly be. And I just got to, it's all about timing, right? The ball pythons, that's the business side. That's what brought all this. If it wasn't for the ball pythons, I wouldn't even have this if it wasn't for the ball pythons. You know what I mean? Ball pythons brought up all this, but ball pythons, I feel like there's so many people in that game. And I have so many people that I talk to now throughout the 5 years I've been in this, where, man, I just know the people I could put the ball pythons who, maybe some, like, I'm not gonna lie. I have 56 ball pythons in a rack that I have not put on Morph Market yet. That scares me. I'm not gonna lie that, but what I'm trying to ask AJ you is, like, for instance, once it comes game time for you to put out this shit that people want, like, what's going to be the first step towards that? Like, are you going to put it on a website? Are you going to announce it at a show? Are you going to do something like Brian did and like tell people, all right, if you want it, you have to come here and this is where it'll be displayed? Like, what's the game plan behind that?
Yeah, I think as far as the kind of like next gen stuff, so like those animals you just looked at on Instagram are productions from probably 2019. And so now I have offspring growing out from those animals. And so I have the next gen of those. And so my plan on releasing those is releasing them at a show in May that my friend Gabby runs. It's called Flora Fauna Conference. And so that will be kind of the release point for that. It's kind of like a niche, real high-end show. And so it's the perfect venue to do that.
Right. Now, what's going to be, some people don't like to sell things individually. They prefer pairs and stuff like that. Is that going to be the case at all? Like, do you prefer to sell things in pairs, or does that not matter?
No, not really in crested geckos. I would say historically it's all single animals. Unless you, maybe if you had like, say like right when Xanthics came out, maybe that would be a marketable strategy where you could sell like a visual and a het together as a pair price. But with this stuff, this will be single animals.
Listen, I got to give my props to the homie Josh coming through. Joshua, mad super chats. You guys got to back my boy up on the super chats. Come on. He's just he's a bilingual Latino from LA. Help him out, please. But yeah, check this out. I'm assuming is this a gecko species that he's talking about? Never heard of.
Yeah, it's a gecko species I breed.
Oh, you breed. Okay. Let's talk about this species. What's going on with it?
So it is so crested geckos are Coralophus ciliatus is their Latin name. Saracenorum is Coralophus saracenorum. So it's the only gecko that's in captivity that is directly related to crested geckos. And they, as far as the market, I would say it is a small and passionate buyer group. So I can sell everyone that I put up for sale. But the nature of Sarah's is probably kind of like chondros. It's inconsistent and production's not high. So they've never, I would say, reached like the large stage like lychees or crested geckos have, just mainly because of their production.
And what is it about their production? Are they fragile, or what? Is anything you could know that you could speak about on that?
I would say in general, the egg production is inconsistent. So you'll have a single female that 1 year gives you 8 eggs. The next year she gives you 0, or she gives you 2, or a female that, you know, will skip 2 years and then breed the 3rd year. It's really inconsistent is how I describe it. And I've talked to a lot of different people and I've heard the same thing pretty much across the board. So I don't think it's just me.
So even in the chondro world, right? Like we have our Bill Stiegels, we have our Gary Chavinos, we have our Socrateses, like we have our Dave D's. We have these guys that are just legendary chondro breeders. Like they fucking just got it down, you know? A lot of it is just the reps. They have so many reps. Is there anybody in this game that's on that level? Like somebody who's like this is the guy who gets this shit done, or is that going to be you?
On Sarah's?
Yeah.
I mean, even the people that I know that I would say are like legends and have worked with way harder species still get stumped by Saracenorum. So I don't know if there's anyone that really cranks them out.
Now, I mean, the fact that, you know, this could be a very small market, does that mean not too many people are even willing to buy, or can you sell these if you have them?
You can sell them. I would say the price doesn't reflect the amount of headache that goes into them, though.
Amen. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think people are wanting to hear the prices I would put these fucking things at if I wanted to get rid of them, just because how much emotion, like it wouldn't even be fair. It wouldn't. I'm sorry. I would just, there's too much attachment behind everything behind me. Like it's probably going to just die with me. Like that's how I feel like, you know what I mean? So
it's just like a passion project for you.
It's just it's so passionate, bro. It's so, you know, cause you know, a lot of this was instilled into me when my best friend Forrest was alive, my boy Forrest Fanning, and he passed away going on 3 years now in March. And you know, I actually have some of his favorite emeralds that he loved are in my collection now. You know what I mean? So there's just a lot attached to this behind me. You know what I mean? So, but I want to do something with it. You know, it's something I want. You know how you want something so bad, and that's a scary thing because fuck, you know, like, you know, let's talk about that. Has there ever been a project you're so sought after, AJ, that you haven't hit yet? Is there something right now that's on your list that you're fucking like, God damn, son of a bitch, has it happened yet? Or no? Like
something that I want to do?
Yeah, like I mean, maybe even something you've been trying to do and you've just been failing at it.
Trying to think. I would say I've been trying to put like stark white color on yellow animals for a long time. And it often comes out cream, not white. So that's something that I think will change this at 2023, but that's been a hard thing for me.
Now, what about out of all the species you work with, what's the most delicate? What's the one that's kind of like, fuck, like you don't have as good as luck with every single year?
I mean, Saracenorum are definitely up there. Cave geckos are, some species are touchy because they come from temperate areas in Japan and China. So they can be a little bit more touchy and you got to cool them like Australian geckos as well. So yeah, between the Saras and the cave geckos, I'd say those things are, they give me a little bit of a mental workout.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how some of the things that are the most hardest to figure out to breed or or get fucking established as far as breeding goes are the stuff that needs cooler temps, like stuff that needs that cooler end shit, you know, like, you know, one of the, you know, unicorn projects out there in the snake world is the Bolin's python, you know, like people just can't, like, it's just the worst luck with Bolin's, you know. Indonesia back there, you know, in Europe, they're making it happen. Over here, it's not happening, you know. But this is like, you know, this is where people for the last few years have been keeping these snakes under 90-degree hot spots and shit. And they don't have any of that. They're like in the high 50s, 60s most of the time. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Interesting.
How high in the mountain, like they're Papua New Guinea, but like deep in the like Somalia mountains. Like they're fucking like deep into there, man. And you know, I read a lot of this shit with through my boy Ari Flagel's book, The Serpents in the Clouds, which is awesome, a really awesome book. But man, like I don't know, the temps, altitudes, all that shit. I mean, because if you want to talk about any kind of species that's from Japan, I'm assuming they're in the mountains, right? Or they're in the high Alps, or right? I'm assuming. Yeah,
they're in higher altitude, and just generally cooler weather. Like I think most people think they need colder weather than they do in the summer. I will let mine get into the mid 70s in the summer, but then in the winter, I'm getting them down into like the low 60s. So,
right.
You know, I'm letting them get a little cooler for sure.
Question from my OG homegirl right here, Jessica, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Also, go please subscribe to Hold Back Rack podcast. But she wants to know if you have any Orientales. Talis. Oh, my bad.
Orientalis.
Talis.
We'll call it Orientales. Yeah.
My bad.
Yes, I do breed them.
And
they are very beautiful.
Do you have any on your page by chance?
No, I can't. Honestly, I don't post my cave geckos because I can't. I would have to say no to so many people when they reach out about them. So I occasionally will throw them in the stories on my Instagram and stuff, but if I leave posts up, I just have to disappoint people all the time when I don't have production of them. So Jessica, it's a delicate balance.
Jessica, thank you so much for the super chat. You're awesome. I want to say, and Josh, thank you so much. I want to say one of the things about the ball python game, it's like, fuck, like, especially when somebody who's on the lead front of dropping the new morphs, it's like, it just shocks you. Like, it's like, what the fuck? How many new rare stuff out there that you don't have that you're looking to add that you could talk about in the Crested Gecko game?
In the Crested Gecko game, right now it's really just what here asked. Ball Pythons 9 asked about Sable. So Sable is the main target for me right now as far as a gene. And so Sable is like Lily White, or if you've heard of Cappuccino, it's an incomplete dominant that has a viable super form. So it has a super form that is, as far as we can tell, healthy, and does some really cool things to the pattern of animals, like gives a bunch of real fluffy white spots on the animal, and then creates a lot of white up the head. So up the crest of the animal has white all the way up the head as well. So Sable's super hot right now. They're expensive. And yeah, Sable's going to be hopefully a big part of what I'm doing in the next couple years. So
if I say this species name correct again, one more time, will you please send her some?
Right. All right, go for it. Go for it.
REPTILES.
You already failed. No.
What? Oh, what do you mean? I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking with you. I got it. Orientalis.
Great, you killed it. Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
They can send me a message. I'll hook them up.
There you go, Jessica. There you go. Okay. I don't know, man. It's because it's kind of overwhelming, but it's also like, man, it's exciting at the same time because how much you got to be on your P's and Q's as far as what can hit the market and what you can work with. But do you ever like see yourself like for me? I can already tell you there's a limit on how many clutches I want a year. Like I could already tell you that I don't want to be Mr. 100+ clutch guy. I'm good. It's a scary thing to think about. For you, is there a cap at all? Like, do you have a cap on production, or do you feel like because everything is singly dropped, it's a lot easier?
I would say probably 2 times what I'm doing right now would be my cap. So my production right now, I'm probably about 1,000 animals a year ish produced geckos. Okay. And I think probably 2,000 to 2,500 would be like my max sweet spot. I think anywhere past that. And even with that, I will need an employee. Where I'm at right now, I'm pushing the limits of being able to do it by myself.
Well, let's be real about something, especially for you. Right. But I know that at some point we might need employees, bro. Like, let's be real. Like it could be possibly happen. I'm terrified of that day. I really am. But I'm really not, because I have somebody right now. His name's Diego. It's my boy. Like finally I found somebody who has that energy, and like he looks at his stuff like it's mine, which is really rare to fucking find. But like for you, like are you scared to find that person someday? Or do you have that person already? I'm just curious.
I'm not scared, but I'm definitely going to be very selective. So I had someone that I worked with up in Illinois. She took care of my collection when I would go out of town, and she'd come help me like when I had big projects that I was trying to knock out, as far as like, big caging order comes in, you got to set a bunch of stuff up, or coming back from a show or going to a show. But I'm going to be looking for somebody down here, and I'm going to be pretty selective.
You got to be ultra selective. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And
honestly, yeah, I'm planning on probably picking somebody with little to no animal knowledge and training them. It's probably going to be my approach.
It's funny you say that, because the dude that I have recently that's been coming over and helping me out, he's more lizard heavy. And when I mean that, not crazy lizard, but just small, like, cool little hobby species of lizards, ackies and whatnot, but no snake handling. And he wants to tap into the snake game, but like everything I tell him, he just soaks it in, because he doesn't have his own way of handling. When you have somebody who has their own way of doing something, they don't give a fuck what you're going to tell them. They're going to do what they want to do. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. Like, I have a certain way of running things. That's the scariest thing why I'm so scared to hire someone, is because I'm very like, I'm like OCD. Like, you have to, like, that paper needs to be facing a certain way. Like, you have to not miss any of those kind of steps. You know what I mean? It gets that crazy. But when you have,
oh, go ahead. You're good.
No, I'm just saying, when you have somebody who has no experience and they're in a brand new position, but they don't want to fuck it up, they're going to pay attention. They're going to learn. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to be looking for in somebody is somebody who's detail oriented and likes animals in general, but isn't necessarily a reptile keeper. Because I think, like you said, they'll be more of a sponge. And this is based on experience of friends hiring, like hearing Brian's experiences hiring, and like my buddies that have hired folks in the past. This is, kind of shared learnings from them. So luckily, I feel like I have a little bit of a head start on what not to do. I'm not going to hire another gecko breeder. I'll tell you that.
How many gecko breeders are you like mentoring or like helping out? Like how many, I mean, and then what I mean by that, how many newcomers are you kind of like, you feel like you're taking under your wing at this point each year?
Oh man, I would probably say each year, I don't know, maybe like 15 or 20 people I'm like talking on the weekly with and answering questions and maybe taking a phone call here or there. And so there's always a group of people that are learning and asking questions. And
I mean,
yeah, it's important to do.
You delegate that. And kind of going back to how we spend our energy and who we speak to, like, do you have certain people that you choose to give more time to because how much they support you or how much they've been spending money with you and stuff like that? Like, do you have your, your special customers or your special people and whatnot?
I mean, yeah, I think that part of it is, obviously I'm not going to spill every inside secret to somebody who's never bought a gecko from me. But a big part of it is I just like people that are teachable and are coachable, because I like to think that that's the way I am. I've always been somebody that's, ever since I was a little kid, I ask a million questions and I drive people crazy because I want to learn. I always want to learn how to do something better than I'm doing it now. And that might be from somebody who's newer than me.
Right.
Like I still ask questions of people that, like I'll see a post on someone's Instagram that's been working with geckos for 2 years, and I see something and I'm like, why are you doing that? And they tell me, I'm like, that's a great idea. Because there's new things people come up with all the time with care and photography and all these different things. So I'm an open book and a sponge.
Let's kind of talk about some of the, like, God bless the people who come into this and what can I say? Like they love their animal. They take pictures of their animals, but they got pictures with their fucking goddamn socks and dirty laundry behind the animal. And it's like, what are you doing? like, can you please not do that? Right? Like how important do you feel like the whole planning behind a picture goes for how you're respected in anything that you're doing? Like, what I mean? We're looking at very awesome shots of your animals, right? But was there support where you elevated your camera game or whatnot? And like, and like I said, going back to the importance, how you feel like how important that is.
I mean, we live in the digital age, so photography is everything, right?
Right.
Photo and video. I don't claim to be the best at either. But ever since I was young, I always wanted to come across as professional.
Right.
With my business, that was always something where I wanted to come across as I was trying to be legit. I'm trying to put out good images, good information on my posts. Yeah, I'm not taking a picture of my gecko in my dirty laundry basket.
Right.
That's never been something I had to stop doing. That was never a struggle for me. So,
I mean, with all due respect, these, especially when you have so much production and whatnot, and or stuff that you have in general, it kind of becomes a chore to take pictures of things.
It's hard.
Yeah. How do you schedule in, your content and whatnot as far as for the animals go? Do you do that once or, I'm just not once, but do you do that a few days throughout the week, or how is that? Is it just done when you do it? Like, how do you really spend time on taking pictures of your animals and whatnot?
So I try to do a picture day per week. Like I have a schedule for feeding, cleaning, shipping, all those things. And then I have a day that I do photos. And some of that is photos for availability or selling animals, and others are for social. I admittedly, and people make fun of me for it, I'm bad at posting consistently, but in the past couple of years, I've made up for it with a lot of live video, podcasts, YouTube, stuff like that. So but yeah, I'm not the most consistent Instagram poster.
What would you give the most credit to as far as your sales, like when it comes to selling your animals? I mean, are you selling most of your stuff at shows, on your website, Instagram?
I would say I'm proud to say I have a pretty good mix. So, maybe 20% is shows, 20% my website, 20% Morph Market, my auction, all these different things are a piece, because I've never really wanted to be too many eggs in one basket. Like that's why I originally made a website, was I saw people getting banned off Facebook. People's Facebooks getting pulled, people's Instagrams getting pulled, selling animals. So I'm like, I got to get a website. And this was like 9 years ago. And now, you know, I feel more comfortable kind of spreading the sales over a bunch of different platforms. I think that's the best thing you can do, is just cast your net wide, because your customers are in different places. So
Yeah,
as many places as you can do a good job on, I would say do.
with that being said, are you on YouTube?
Just on podcasts and my auction right now.
I mean, here's the thing. If you can consistently put out a podcast, nothing else is going to market you better than that. I can tell you that much on YouTube, at least.
A podcast, or just YouTube in general?
I mean, YouTube will help, but a podcast in general, because you're talking, like it's just you fucking talking about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's something that's consistent, I'd feel like this is why I don't understand why. Like if you're into selling any kind of reptile, you have to be on YouTube. It's like television. It's free marketing on television. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, you're only going to be seen so far, but things pick up really quick, you know, and it's just another thing that wouldn't hurt to have your shit spread out on. Like it doesn't hurt at all, you know?
Yeah, totally. I think YouTube, and especially podcasts. I mean, I know for myself, like when I listen to a podcast, you start to feel like you're family with the person you're listening to all the time, or you start to feel kind of part of the club, right?
Yeah.
So in a business in the type of business we're in, the best thing we could do is kind of bring people into what we have going on. So podcast makes a lot of sense.
I mean, how more personal can you get with somebody? You know what I mean? Other than a podcast, that's not something in person, you know, which why I always push, AJ, that you go to fucking reptile shows, man, because like, even if you don't like somebody, even if you have an assumption on somebody, but it's somebody who works with something that you work with, you could run into this person and your whole perception will change. Everything will change. Totally. You're like, fuck this guy. It's kind of like how you and the homie Harry, how like, you know, you thought he was trying to fucking like, you know, give you, you know, waste your time, but no, like, look what it turned into. Like, it's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
So, you know, more importantly, man, goddamn, I gotta say, like, shows is where you connect a lot of dots with a lot of things. Are you meant to be in this game? Do you want to be in this game? Do you even have people you fuck with in this game that you could like in person? And chances are, yeah, you will connect with so many people when you go to these shows. But the shows are important, man. It's a huge part of the legwork that you have to do.
Yeah, and I mean, you see people all over the place. Like, I think the first time I maybe met you casually was at Tinley, but I also saw you in Vegas. And then, you know, so all over the place. If you go to a bunch of shows, you're going to get to know people, and you're going to be able to kind of, I guess, strengthen that network with others.
Yeah, I don't think I actually met you until Brian was like, hey, yo, this is AJ.
Yeah. We like crossed paths outside of Vegas, but it was very brief.
Yeah, Vegas was a weird experience just because I was there very short, and it was like we were staying on the Strip, but then the show wasn't on the Strip, or it kind of was. It was just weird. It was like kind of
off
like
the path. Yeah,
it was off the path, and I was, you know, it was like a real quick. I was only there Saturday with the homie Adler, so we were in and out. I kind of wish I would have hung out Sunday, but you know, either way, it was just kind of like a, you know, very blurry fucking experience from what I remember Vegas. But I do remember meeting people like the homie William and Audra, and them kind of like tapping me into, I'm telling you, that was, you know, I told you, shout out to my boy Kenny, probably 99.9% of the reason why I have this segment dedicated to gecko breeders is because of my boy Kenny, upside down geckos. Go give him a follow on Instagram. It's my best friend.
Kenny's the best.
Kenny is the fucking G, OG, triple G. He's top G, period. That's my dog. But William and Audra were the gateway into me meeting somebody like Brian from Altitude Exotics and seeing the potential of where this shit's going. Like, it's not about, you know, I always like to say ball python or the fucking like goddamn, like they have the you know the weight belt, like they fucking just carry the whole hobby. But at the end of the day, no, I mean, there's also monies being made in different areas, but that kind of shit, the 400K shit at that show was pretty fucking, you know,
yeah, crazy,
motivating. It was awesome. It was awesome to see. But overall, first and foremost, AJ, do you have a job? Do you have a 9 to 5, or are you full-time gecko breeder right now?
No, I actually did sales before this. I worked for a medical company doing hospital sales.
Oh, wow.
And then when I moved to North Carolina, I went full-time animals. So
shit, that's awesome. So let's talk about a day-to-day for AJ. What's AJ's day-to-day now? Now that you have a full-time job revolving around what you love, what you do, your business, what is AJ day-to-day?
So, you know, there's obviously difference between days of the week, but 3 days a week, 3 to 4 days a week, I'm doing some level of cleaning and feeding of animals, obviously. And then a day a week, I'm doing 1 to 2 days a week, I'm doing a good amount of shipping of animals. I'm breeding insects to feed to my animals.
Ooh, yes.
You know, breeding dubias, breeding mealworms, breeding some crickets.
No grasshoppers? No grasshoppers?
Not yet. I got to get on that game from Brian.
I got you.
He's the grasshopper guy.
Wait. Who's the wait? Time out. Dude, no, I'm not trying. Hey, listen, I'm not trying to step on any toes, but who'd you say the grasshopper?
I'm just kidding. I just said, I'm joking. Brian Susan, he loves to joke that he's the grasshopper guy and I'm the mealworm guy, which makes no sense because neither one of us are really killing it in either ones.
Well, listen, I'm going to tell you what, Brian, I'll take you on this, Brian. I feel like I'm the grasshopper guy before any of you fuckers, but check it, because I just figured it out. Like finally, after a year and a half, I got this shit down.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm overflowing with grasshoppers right now, but I love it. Like
send them over, man. I need a new project.
I got you. No, I got you. But I want to say shout out to the real grasshopper king is my boy Junior, from fucking SoCal Grasshoppers. Like I've had him on the show before. Big Lizard 13 on Instagram. I believe that's his fucking Instagram. But anyways, dude, that guy, I'm telling you right now, that motherfucker is killing it. Like he ships out fucking thousands of grasshoppers every day, bro. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's killing it. You never heard of him before?
Oh no, I have. I'm just
okay.
mainly razzing Brian because I always joke that he's a professional grasshopper breeder. I said he needs to introduce himself to his neighbors as that.
That's so hilarious. Hey, listen, going back to Brian Susan, man, I'm making a trip to Brian's place next year.
Yeah.
I think around April, he said. So we're going to be able to hang, hopefully, right? How far are you from Brian?
Yeah. I'm about 2.5 hours from him. So I'll drive over there. I'll meet you guys.
Help me out here, because I've never been to North Carolina. So like, where does he live compared to where I would fly in at? How would that work?
You'd probably fly into Charlotte and then drive about an hour and 15, or he'd pick you up. And he lives west of Charlotte. So he lives like far west, North Carolina, in the mountains.
No, I'm not worried about that. My boy Matthew Summers is my travel management fucking triple OG. He takes care of all the, rental car shit. So we'll rental a car, that shit in a fucking in style to Brian Houston's, and we're gonna have a good time. I cannot wait, man. That's fucking
so you'll
epic.
Fly to Charlotte and you'll drive an hour and a half.
So how often do you go down to Brian's and kick it? I mean, is it
I'm probably there maybe every 6 to 8 weeks.
And I'm just curious, like, man, I couldn't imagine having somebody like even within driving distance to go hang out with. But when you hang out with somebody like Brian, right? Like, how does somebody like you and him talk about certain projects that you guys are both into? Because he's also in the Gecko game too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So like, is he working with a lot different stuff than you are, or are you guys working with similar stuff and helping each other out? Where are you guys at with that? I'm curious.
He works with crested geckos on a small scale, and I work with them on a big scale, obviously. He works with leechies on a bigger scale than I. We have some crossover, but I would say some of my biggest projects are small projects for him, and vice versa. So like he breeds a lot of Aussie leaf tails. I breed a little bit of Aussie leaf tails. So
Right.
we have a lot of shared species that we keep, but I would say we're not like directly competing on many things,
Those leaf tails,
which is a
bro.
nice thing.
Let's talk about those. Let's talk about those leaf tails real quick. And I'm sure you have those on your page, right?
I may or may not. Same kind of thing. I don't produce a ton of them, so I don't pump them up that much. But
So
a lot of those obscure species, I just sell at shows primarily.
and the amount of those you're selling is not a lot either, right?
No, like the leaf-tailed geckos, I'm maybe selling 25 a year.
Oh,
Maybe.
you sneaky son of a bitch! Look what I
So-
found. Oh, look what I found, dude. We want to know. You want to know something that will. Well, okay. Before the monitor, like I have lace monitors, right? I have a fucking pair of Bell Phase lace monitors, Alice and Mac Dre. I love them to death, you know, because I love those kind of lizards. But before I could even know I could attempt a goal like that, I had an obsession of a certain species of lizard, and I just found it on your fucking page, the Abronia. I love, dude. I'm obsessed with the Abronia. Like Forrest, obviously, Forrest, Desiree, and Steven all put me on Abronia, and I just was fascinated by something that looks like a dragon, like a real. You want to talk about the real dragon of the fucking hobby? Other than the the crocodile red-eye skinks are pretty dragon-like, but these right here, bro. Oh my god, man! I've been in a. Have you ever been in a Abronia room before? Like an all Abronia room? Like I'm talking over 100
Yeah.
Abronia. Dude, how dreamy is that?
100? I mean, I've been in Brian's room. I don't know if there's over 100. There's a lot though.
So Forrest, Steven, and Desiree had an Abronia room with over, I think it was 15 species of Abronia. I can't remember. They had the biggest Abronia fucking collect. I think, dude, even like the feds were on fucking Forrest's ass type of shit. It was crazy. It was a wild situation. You know what I mean? But that's when I got tapped into these things, and I was like, I was so just floored by them. But what was crazy is how big some of these actually get. Because you see a lot of these being so small, but bro, I saw some that they were like almost as big as my forearm. And I was like
the Lithrochyla is big too.
Yes, dude. I was tripping.
You'll see some big ones at Brian.
Oh, I can't wait. But man,
man.
Let's talk about the Abronia, man. What's going on with the Abronia project for you? Is this a new thing for you? You're growing it?
It's not a thing anymore. That photo is about 5 years old, and it was just
it died.
It was a pet thing for 3-4 years, and then sold them to somebody that I liked.
Okay.
I will say my negative tendency is that I think I have capacity to start something new, and then I start, and then I'm like, I should not be doing this.
I mean, and these for sure are colder than what you keep for the most part, right? Like, I mean, because these were like 60s from what I know.
I would say it's similar to cave geckos. So I think I could actually do Abronia now. I've actually like deeply considered it when Brian has juveniles to sell, buying some. Because now I have the ability to kind of outdoor them at my current house, and I have ample insect production, and I have more temperature control where I live now because I have a basement that is kind of like half underground. So I really have like any temperature I want between 60 and 80 degrees. And even down into the 50s if I want it. So
not a super chat question. Not a super chat question, but I want to fucking drop this question in the chats right now because this is going to be a no-brainer, and I already know AJ will take this one, but answer this man's question for me, please, AJ.
You got to reach out to Sundown Reptiles.
Dude, that's the
You got to reach out to Brian Susan. He's the tree monitor guy.
That's it. And
that's
listen,
it.
Unless you're in Canada, then you want to go to Brandon Van Asten.
Brandon,
yeah. But other than that, I'm telling you right now, nobody is on Brian's fucking level. Man, the guy is so sick with these tree monitors. I gotta say, man.
He's got him down.
What's crazy is like, I have no room to fuck around with any other project at this point, especially with tree monitors. Like, I'm pretty capacity, but guess what I'm trying to do? I'm making room for another species.
You're getting tree monitors.
I'm going to hit up Brian soon. I'm just going to wait a little bit longer. But I you know, the McCray I'm
the blues.
obsessed. The blues were just like I have Persinus, I have the greens, and the greens are beautiful. You know what I mean? The blues, man, like in the blacks too. Don't get me wrong. What are the blacks?
Blacks are sweet.
What are the black? Remind me the species name of the blacks?
Oh gosh, don't ask me. I don't remember.
My bad.
I know a few of the other ones. I don't know the blacks.
Anyways,
but I've seen blacks in person and they're incredible. I think they're so cool.
They're definitely the most intimidating out of all of them. I feel like
just from a look or from like a care perspective.
Just by the look and they're just all black, like they're fucking loked out.
Yeah. The blues are crazy because the blues are big. Like I think the blues are a little bit bigger.
They are the biggest.
At least I think at least, I mean, when I go to Brian's, the blues are the biggest.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's consistent or if that's just the ones he has, but his blues they're big animals.
Bakari, thank you so much. I just looked that up. The black tree monitors are Bakaris, and I mean, listen, dude, this is where I'm at, AJ. And I'm gonna keep it 100 with you right now. I don't want to breed as many ball pythons as I'm breeding. I don't want to be more. I don't want to be so heavy into snake breeding, man. I want it. Don't get me wrong, but I want majority of this, maybe a little bit of the ball python stuff, because why not? Because it's so awesome. But the monitor shit, I'm obsessed with, bro. Like I fucking love lizards, bro. It's just my thing. It sucks.
Tree monitors specifically, or like I know you said you have the lace monitors, obviously.
I have my dream monitor. My dream monitor is the lace. I have my dream monitor, and that is locked in. But I do not have my dream tree monitor. But the thing is, my dream tree monitors are all the tree monitors. I want all of them.
All of them.
I'm obsessed. I guess you could say the tree monitors is like, it's like my chondro for the lizard. It's like, oh my God. Like, you know, here's the thing. It's one of my, you know, we were talking about goals that we might have that we just haven't hit yet, and we're desperate. Well, fuck, dude. Like, I've already had my Persinus lay two unfertile eggs, right? So I've already had that taste of that production side of the green trees, but that's all I've had ever since. Now the male is acting weird and not really being so, like, I'm trying to figure that out, man. And there's nothing more that's waking me up every day than me wanting to spend time with my monitors, the lizards, bro.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with the lizards, bro.
That's like the elusive thing that's haunting you is producing those greens.
It's what's just
right
keeping
now.
me like, it's keeping me humble. It's keeping me like, we're like, dude, like you have so much, like, and not to be cocky, because I'm really nobody in the ball python game, especially where people, the thing is, I'm nobody because of the kind of morphs I'm producing. I could produce ball pythons all day. I could produce healthy ball pythons all fucking day. I'm good at producing ball pythons as far as thriving them. And the thing is, I'm in this I want to challenge them to thrive. Like, I want something that not a lot of people are good at. You know what I mean? What do you think?
Yeah.
Why do you think I have what's behind me? You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, not enough people work with tree monitors. You could admit that, right? Not enough. And that's the thing where I feel like if I'm going to be doing something, especially if I have a full-time gig at trying to do something, I want to be able to make a difference. I feel like, and I don't know. This tree that's why I look up to Brian so much. How many Brian Susans are there out there? No, there's not. It's just, I only think of one.
None.
That's it. That's what
One
I'm saying.
of one.
He needs support.
Yeah, and the cool thing is,
like,
I
no,
mean,
I don't. He's like, I'm doing good. I don't need your support.
I mean, not to just keep pumping Brian up, but I will. But I mean, I know you know this, but he's a Gecko guy, a monitor guy, a chondro guy. You know, he can do it all.
Dude, you know, it's funny. It's like, if you want to humble Brian at all, bring up chondros. And he's like, to me, I feel like, bro, you produce some sick ass shit, but he doesn't like talking about it because, you know, chondros will fucking tear your dick off and make you swallow it. That's just how chondros go. It's a brutal game, but he's produced some amazing looking reds. Fucking Brian Susan, man. I'm telling you right now, the guy is just dialed in with his shit, bro.
Yeah,
Respect to him. Overall, as somebody coming new into this, AJ, right? Like, you know, I think we all in the ball python game or in the chondro game could really look at somebody a certain way when they come in with so much money, right? how do you look at somebody who comes into this heavy pockets? Like when somebody just kind of tosses a shit ton of money, not, maybe not with you, but just with anybody. Like, what's your first like take back with something like that as of right now in the Gecko breeding game?
I think there's right ways to do it and there's wrong ways to do it. The thing that scares me right now, there's been a handful of people that I think see the value of some of these animals that are being shipped to Korea, like Xanthic lily whites, caps, frappuccinos. And I talked about this with Brian Butler when he was on my podcast, but really what both of us think is you need to be able to like take things slow and really kind of only work with what you're into, and not make decisions purely on the financial number tied to the offspring produced. Because what we're seeing right now is, I mean, I've seen pictures where there's 100 Xanthic lily whites on a table. Like people are flooding the market on them because they're chasing the dollars. So
yeah,
I would say my biggest thing that I'd say to people is you got to, one, be diversified within the projects you're working on to an extent. And two, you actually have to like what you're doing. You have to love the animals. It can't just only be money to you, because if you don't love the animals, you're not going to take good care of them and you're probably going to kill all the animals you buy. So it's, that's the problem, is I think people just will jump in when they see the sales numbers, but not actually realize that you have to scrub poopy cages 5 hours a day. That's the reality of the job.
I think a lot of these fucking airheads don't really understand that whatever they're looking at that time, like let's say they invest in that animal that's making a lot of money at that time. They're like, yeah, that's going to be it. Do you realize the person who's capping out on that fucking animal is somebody who's been respected and growing up that project? And there's just certain people that will spend money with somebody like that. And what I'm saying is, like, you got to have some sort of respect on your name. I feel like to sell anything, like sure, you can go ahead and find somebody, but like, I feel like the real motherfuckers who are killing it are having people sitting there right there waiting. Once you have shit out, once you have shit ready to sell, they're just right there. Like, goddamn, Brian has a reserve list. Kenny, right? So I didn't even know Kenny was on that level. Shout out to Kenny.
Kenny is on that level, man.
That's sick. That's
100%.
I'm not surprised whatsoever. But we talk about Brian again. Like, Brian has a reserve list. Like, you gotta fucking email him, and because those eggs are fucking reserved for the most part. You know what I mean? So
yeah, he pulls them out of the lay box and they've got names on them. He's that confident now. It's awesome.
What a time. Imagine that.
Yeah.
But guess what? It takes fucking discipline, like the timing, everything, man. Like, it's just, it's a lifestyle, bro. And if you can't dedicate your life to it, you ain't going to make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, Brian and I talk about this all the time, that we're basically farmers. We're people that have to keep an eye on the weather, on the temperatures, on everything that could go wrong. We have to know how to remedy. We have to, be fast on our feet when things do go wrong. So it's a unique person that's able to do this on a large scale. We'll say that.
I mean, can we admit that that's his life in general? Fuck the animals. I mean, no, not literally, but I'm just saying, like we have to be ready for life, like our loved ones that pass away, or fucking somebody gets hurt, or you get hurt. Like, dude, life hits you where you're just not ready for certain shit. Here's the thing. We do work with something that hits us, that can hit us where it's devastating. You know what I mean? So if you're always just really prepared for life, you'll be ready when it happens. Like, all I got to say is, like, it's good thing we're in a fucking game where we almost have to be prepared for what our fucking facilities are burned down. Things getting sick, getting scammed, all this shit goes down the list. Not to scare nobody.
Power outages,
everything,
catastrophic weather,
natural disasters. Bob Smith comes over. Who knows? Like, it's just there's so much shit that can happen, but you just have to be ready for anything, because it can happen. That's why also, to keep going back to the animals I work with. You know how many of these fucking animals, AJ, I have in the freezer that fucking just put me through the ringer? Like animals that in the beginning, like I'm talking about the first few years of this shit, like crushed me. Like I couldn't believe what the fuck was happening. But it is what it is. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, I think my boy Andrew Acevedo said it best. I think it was like my 4th chondro that died on me or something. He's like, listen, buddy, this chondros are not for the faint at heart. If you have a weak heart, if you're sensitive, you're gonna give up. You're going to give up. And I just could not fathom the thought of giving up on this shit. So I had to check my emotion. My emotions died that day. Actually, they fucking just murdered. And what I mean by that, like if something dies in here, like I might have to beat myself up a little bit, but I will move on. It's quick to just, what are you going to do about it? There's nothing you can do about it. Like this is all this just temporary anyways. Everything's temporary here. You never know when it's going to go. It's sad.
It's living animals. There's things we can't control. I mean, Brian and I would say probably once a month, one of us calls the other and has to talk the other one off the ledge with something that happened. You know,
dude,
you leave a cage open and you got to find an animal, or, you know, something happens, you know, but we're all human and make mistakes and have to remedy and figure it out. So
did you hear my latest disaster that I talked about on the last show? Because if not, I would love to talk about it again. Because it really
tell me. I have not heard it.
It really fucked me up. Actually, I said it 2 episodes ago. So last Monday,
maybe I don't want to hear about it.
It's nothing
Okay.
graphic. It's just fucking goddamn. Like, so I finally got the upgraded new enclosure for Mac Dre and Alice, my lace monitors, right? So it's just shy of 8 feet tall. It's 6 and 5 inches in length, as far as in wide, and it's 4 feet deep. It's a monster, bro. It's
how tall?
And again, about 7.5 inches. Excuse me, no, 7 feet and 5 inches from the floor.
So
to the
basically,
ceiling.
just enough that you can put things on top of it in an 8-foot ceiling.
I can't put nothing on top of it. It's
really?
capped out. It's capped out. Yeah, it's
Okay.
capped out. And it's all PVC. So I mean, I mind you, it's fucking PVC thing. It's quite a unique enclosure,
Massive.
right? Massive, right? And guess what? Guess what kind of doors I have? I have glass doors. Okay, so the glass doors are 6 something, fucking just huge, fucking tempered glass, heavy fucking glass. Like this is no joke glass, dude. Well, guess what happened to one of those glasses? Why there was monitors inside, right there, all that. It shattered. The whole fucking one of the doors shattered, and glass everywhere, inside and outside, mind you. It just went everywhere. It was like a sniper shot it from a fucking goddamn building across the street or some shit, right? Okay. So I'm just, and listen, mind you, I have a podcast in an hour too. So now, and I'm working quick. So I'm just like, all I could look at, I look at the monitors looking at me, and I'm looking at the ground. There's glass everywhere. So of course, what do the monitors want to do? They want to come down and see what's going on. So they're coming down. I'm like, no. So I'm like trying to I'm literally like lapping them back up top. Right. And it's like, it's a shit show, bro. I want to break down. I literally wanted to break down. Like I thought I was fucked. And then of course, dun, 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 my wife comes and she's like, what the fuck is happening? And she sees me just like in a mess, trying to keep the monitors from going on the glass. And she just turns it on, bro, and just starts sweeping up all the glass. Like, and I'm talking about like we worked our asses off for the next hour to get all that fucking glass cleaned up. And man, like, dude, you want to talk about wanting to jump off the ledge? Like that fucking goddamn enclosure took me 3 days to build, bro. And then that fucking glass breaks on me, dude. Oh,
welcome to reptile keeping, right?
Dude, I say shout out to my wife. Shout out to anyone who has a significant other out there who's ready to rock and roll. But what is going on over there? But I gotta tell you, sorry, she was tripping out. I gotta tell you, man, like that was a moment where I felt like I felt like not giving up, but what the fuck can I do? Like, I was sitting there just trying to keep for like 10 minutes before my wife threw because it got to a level where I'm just yelling. Like, I'm just yelling. Like, you know, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, you know, and my wife comes in like, what the fuck? And I was like, dude, I don't know what I'm gonna do. She's like, I got you. And she just started cleaning up the glass. And then, you know, I have a shop vac. She got the shop vac and just, you know, good thing about, I got to tell you guys, nobody get anything but tempered glass if you're going to have a fucking enclosure build, because that shit stays together for the most part. Like it breaks in chunks versus shatters in little tiny pieces. If that was like, yeah, if that was shard glass, I would have been sliced and diced. I would have been fucked, because I think okay. It shattered basically on top of me. It shattered over me, bro. So all this shit came down on top of me, and fucking luckily, like I said,
wait, it broke as you were opening the door? You were there when it broke?
I was trying to fix, yes, because the way this.
Oh, I thought it broke when you weren't in the room.
I was in the room. It happened as I was fucking opening the door. It happened while I was sliding it, because I always had issues with the glass door. Mind you, the top part I was holding the glass was bowed, so the glasses were slanted. I just, like I said, I'm not MJ the builder. I'm not a fucking builder guy. Just follow the instructions. I thought everything was fine, and I noticed the glass doors weren't fine, and it took me to fucking, like, basically this thing got wedged, and the tracker got bent, caught the other glass, and that's what shattered the glass. So I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I gave it a good fucking whoop-oo. Like, you know, I tried to close it, and that's when I heard the flex, and it just shattered, bro.
Wow,
dude, I was devastated, man. But luckily,
that's
like,
crazy.
I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, I just fucking put these goddamn monitors in here, and then I put the tree monitors inside their old enclosure, so everything was like transferred. You know what I mean? But
do you just throw them in like tubs? What do you do until you fix it?
So luckily, the enclosure that I have them in have a split. So basically, when I have them split for the winter right now, right? So there's a divider. And the divider is what was fucking up this enclosure to begin with, because the divider piece was pushing out the front, and that's what I have to go and fix, right? But the divider piece is what was separating them. So what happened was, I had one good glass door left, right? So I kept the divider up, and I just took Mac Dre and I put him with Alice. So he was just on one side with her, like while it took me a day or so to get the new glass door. I had to order a new glass door from a glass company. She cost me $300 fucking bucks. What a $300 mistake. God damn it. But it could have been way worse. But still, I'm just trying to relate to the whole, when you want to jump off the fucking, the ledge is there and you just want to leap and say, fuck it. You know, like that was
I think the biggest thing you could have is what your wife was for you there. You got to have somebody to pull you back, right? You got to have some connection to reality when stuff goes wrong. So that's what I tell anybody that's working in this, is you got to have somebody to call when stuff goes bad. So find that person.
Yeah, people need to be mindful of that. You know what I mean? I have that and didn't even realize I have that. Like, I know my wife is always there, but at that moment when I was fucking just in my own worries, like, I didn't know my wife was going to come through the door like a superhero and save my ass. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying, guys. Like, get your others involved as much as you can.
Yeah, seriously.
Now you're married. Now, AJ, you're married.
Yes. Yep.
How many years you been married for, my man?
Coming up on 8 right now.
8 years? You look young.
Yeah.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 30.
So you got married at 22.
Gonna be 31. I got married at 23.
Respect.
Wow. 7. Yeah. So coming up on 31 and 8 years. So yeah, married young, man.
So, and your wife, how does she feel about the whole journey? Like, I mean, let's be honest, especially in the beginning days, was she always kind of like, holy shit? But I mean, where's she at with all this?
So her family was family friends of mine when we were young. And so actually her sister had a gecko that I produced as a pet growing up. So my wife had a gecko from me in her childhood home through growing up. So I was, kind of subliminally getting in there and getting her to love geckos, So, but she's never been anything less than supportive of it. She's always been very encouraging of me. I will say, she says, that's your thing. It's not my thing, but she will always help me if I need it.
Dude, that is for sure my wife.
She's not down there. She's not down there looking through bins when I'm not there. We'll just say that. But if I ask her, hey, I need help with this thing, she'll help me in the gecko room. She's not afraid to hold animals. So
I can't help but to put test maneuvers on my wife when I'm gone. And what I mean, I leave once a month. I leave once a month, AJ, and I go do a podcast at somebody's place, right? And I leave my wife in charge of this whole room, which over 60 fucking chondros and emeralds in this room. And then I have the trap, which is all the fucking big pythons and shit. She delegates all that, right? Has no problem doing what I leave her to do. And so what do I go and do? And I go ahead and ask her, hey babe, if you don't mind, can you mist all these snakes? And she goes, no, I'm good. So like, meaning like, you know, she'll check on things. The biggest thing I need her help with is the hatchlings, right? Because I'm very big on water changes. I don't know how you are. I didn't really get to talk to you about your guys' water regiment in the Gecko game, like what the standards are, but I'm like the king slayer of murdering anyone out there who does weekly water changes in the snake game. Like if I find out you do fucking, and I got homies that do it, and I know they're busy, but I'll still talk shit to them. I'll say, you're a piece of shit for doing that. But nobody should give their animal once a week water change. I feel like that's kind of fucked up. I feel like, right?
Especially if they're going to crap in that bowl the first night you put it in.
The very first night. In my, it's not their fault. They're like, oh, I feel something wet. Some animals like look at that dish as a toilet. They're like, oh yeah, this feels good. I've seen it. I've even seen snakes purposely go to the water dish and take a shit. They love it. I'm telling you. But like, it's us.
Maybe you need two in there. You need one that's a little bigger. Maybe they'll use it for that. And then
or maybe you should need to change it. Or maybe you should need to change it.
Yeah.
Or fucking, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, but thing is, like, there's a lot of people out there who aren't only big believers in this weekly water changes, but it's because they don't look at their animals till 7 days later. Like, I don't.
That's crazy.
That's
Geckos,
nuts.
You can't do that.
I respect that. You know, like ball pythons, people just think they could put it in a drawer and say, all right, I'll see you in 7 days. I mean, ball pythons will still be alive, but that doesn't make it right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, there's got to be a change in.
Yeah, geckos, you really, I mean, bare minimum, we're seeing them 3 days a week, like 3 times a week.
Right.
If not more, but bare minimum 3 days.
Now, the importance of seeing them would be what in your eyes? Like, other than, I mean, like, what would be the number one thing why you'd want to stay on top of that?
Well, you have to feed them. And most people are feeding at least twice a week, if not 3 days a week. My schedule now is Monday. It's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, depending on what species. And juveniles get crickets twice a week, where adults are only getting diet twice a week. So it's a little bit all over the place. But we got to be in the bin to feed them and either spray them or replace water in a water dish. And then geckos eat a lot and poop a lot. So you got to change their paper. Like I'm changing paper almost weekly, if not more. Some animals more than once a week. So it all depends on case by case.
Everything's on paper. Or do you have some on substrate?
All crested geckos are on paper.
Are they
Lychees are on substrate. Combo, the juveniles are in tubs, the adults are in PVC. And the adults are on misting systems and lighting automation, all that. So
how often is a gecko being misted in your collection, the adults?
The adults get sprayed twice a day. They get a evening spray that's long, so like 45 seconds, and then they get a morning spray an hour before lights come on that's about 15 seconds, just to kind of give a little bit of a morning humidity bump before the lights turn on and cook all the moisture out of the cage.
And then you're swapping out that paper how often? Like every other day, every day, or what?
Adults are like once a week. Juveniles are probably average every 5 days. Some can go a week, some, are 3 days. So it really depends on if they spill their food bowl, because their food is like a fruit base. So you'll get fruit flies if they spill food and you leave it. Or they'll walk through their food bowl and then track it all over the paper towel or all over the sides of the bin. So you got to change that bin out. So they're kind of high maintenance compared to a snake.
what would be the overall preference in diet for the geckos, in your opinion? You know, like what do you feel like?
Brand?
I mean, yeah, brand, I feel like, but like, for instance, like I have a lychee, right? And I know we didn't talk too much about lychees on this episode, but I'm curious, like, you know, I mean, you know, doing one or the other is less preferred versus than having a mix of two, right? And what I mean by that, like, do you always do insects and some sort of a diet for the lychees? Can we talk about the lychees real quick before we end stuff?
Yeah, lychees.
Talk about the lychees. That's what I have. I have one lychee, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, the lychee adults, I only feed the powdered diet.
Okay.
I don't feed them any insects as adults. The juveniles,
good.
The juveniles will get the occasional insect, but the adults are only getting prepared diet.
And going back to the branding or what you would choose as far as the powder diet, what do you prefer?
So during COVID, when there was some supply chain issues, I made my own food. So I actually worked with some food scientists and nutritionists, and I made my own diet, which I still use. And the only thing, if I have animals in on loan, people that maybe didn't know about my diet that I developed, I fed those Pangea.
Okay.
So, but primarily at home, I use my own diet that I make.
Now, I mean, is there a way to overfeed or like kind of fuck up the, you know, the dieting thing with the, you know, I'm sure there is, but like, what's one way? Yeah, with lychees, like what's one way somebody could really fuck up a lychee, you feel like, when it comes to feeding?
Feeding them too many, it's probably just like tree monitors. You can't feed them all rodents. So like a lot of people, when lychees get big, they're like, oh, I'm going to feed it tons of pinkies. And feed it pinkies off tongs. Getting a lychee. Yeah. Damn. People feed lychees pinkies.
I feel like my lychee would eat anything, bro. It's a fucking savage, bro. Like he's nuts.
Yeah. You're raising him on grasshoppers, man. That thing's wild.
He fucking goes nuts off the grasshoppers. But listen, I have that the raspy Raspy? Is it raspy? Is it
Rapashi?
Rapashi. Yeah. I'm still new to this. But the Rapashi powder diet is one thing that I'm like, because dude, this motherfucker was on strictly grasshoppers every other day for like 6 months.
He was doing good?
Dude, yeah, he's a savage. He's
that's
beasting
awesome.
up. But then like my boy Alex is like a vet tech and Mr. fucking God tell you what's wrong or right. I love him to death, but he always has something to say. And he was just like, dude, you got to implement that powder diet. I'm like, all right, fine, I will. And so I will say I have seen quite a bit of a growth since doing both. But also, real quick, let's talk about temperature real quick. Temperature, obviously, lychees. Let's keep this in the lychee talk. But temperature preference with your lychees or what? I'm curious.
Summer, high 70s, 78, 79.
Every throughout the whole day or like nighttime or what?
They'll get like a 3 to 4 degree night drop. So maybe like 74 night, 74, 75 night. And then in the winter, probably 73 day and like 69 or 70 night.
Okay. So I should probably bring him back in this room then, because he's in the trap. And the trap
is he breeding?
No,
if he's not breeding, just keep him warm all the time.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Like my juvenile room is warm all the time, 365, because none of those animals I'm cycling for breeding.
How do you sex a lychee?
You pour sex them with like a jeweler's loop.
What?
So with geckos, between their back legs, they have scales, right?
Yeah,
you can take a jeweler's loop, so a magnifying glass, and look at that. And in the center of some of those scales, there'll be a line or a V shape of scales that have a dot in the center, or like almost like a dimple or an indent in it. And those are pores. And males have pores and females historically don't. Some females have a few, but not like the males.
There's got to be an easier way.
That's the easiest way. I mean, some of these leeches, you can sex them out of the egg with a loop. Like you can tell what the sex is the day they hatch.
Are males or females? What about if you let it get old and big? Like what about that? Are females bigger than males or males bigger than females?
All you got to do is look at their, I mean, you can, when they get to be adults, you can just look at them with your naked eye and they'll have a little bit of a bulge. Like, they'll have a little bit of a bulge, but you can just look at them and you'll see those pores like plain as day. Especially in leeches, they'll emit a waxy substance from the pore itself. So you'll like look at them. It's like, man, they've got like wax coming out of them. It's very obvious.
And that's
leeches are very, very obvious.
The wax is a male.
Yeah. And the pores.
Pores and the wax.
Just flip yours over. You'll know.
All right. I might come to you for that. Just be ready.
Yeah.
All right. Well, fuck,
I'll help
AJ.
you.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. 2 hours went by pretty quick as I thought it would.
Yeah.
I figured this would be a great gateway into us bringing the both worlds together, snake world and the gecko world. This has been an awesome time. But you got some
here.
You got some hot seat questions, bro. You're not gonna just dip out fucking like you just
Let's
killed
do
it
it
without hot seat questions. So,
all right, we'll see you later.
No. Fuck that. None of that shit. Here we go. Hot seat questions for the homie AJ. AJ, I need the quickest answers you could give me. That's the most player times you could do in this. You ready for this?
Got it.
Hot seat questions. AJD Reptiles. Here we go. Frozen thought or live?
Live.
Favorite diet for a baby gecko?
Mix of insects and powder diet.
Favorite insect to feed to a gecko?
Crickets.
Egg cut or no cut? Would you ever cut an egg? Would you never cut an egg?
I would not.
Favorite incubation temperature? Fuck
that. 72.
Red chondro or yellow chondro?
Red.
Yay imports or boo imports?
I will say yay in general.
One reptile you would import to your collection today, anywhere around the world, what would it be?
I want 200 more crested geckos.
Fuck, 200. I said one, but goddamn.
The original import was 200, so I want 200 more.
One reptile nobody would ever, or excuse me, one reptile that nobody should ever import, ever. Leave it alone. What would that be?
I'd say either chameleons or tortoises.
To miss any reptile or to not miss any reptile?
Missed.
Yay sports or boo sports?
Boo sports.
Big flexor or no flexor?
Big flex.
Yes. Let's go. Steak or fish?
Steak.
Van Halen or Sammy Hagar?
Got to be Van Halen for sure.
Let's go. Sublime or Nirvana?
Nirvana.
Ooh, I like that. Wow. That hit right here for me. I'm not gonna lie. Little word association. First thing to come to mind: milk,
cereal,
cocoa,
powder.
First time crested gecko breeder.
Facebook.
Favorite reptile show of all time?
Tinley.
Best year of breeding for you?
2021.
Instagram trolls.
Have them.
If you had to get rid of one platform forever, and I mean forever, Instagram or Facebook, which one has to go?
Facebook.
There it is in a fucking. You fucking nailed that shit, bro. AJ, we had over 70. We had over 70 people tapped in for this episode. Please get the likes up. But what do you have to say to everyone tapping in, showing you mad love and respect for this show, bro?
Yeah, man. Thanks for being here. I guess I'll plug my own stuff. AJD Reptiles, the Gecko Pod podcast, and Flora Fauna Conference.
All day. Please.
That's what I got to say.
Yes. Make sure you shoot me those. I'll put them in the description below. But guys, please.
Cool, man.
Give it up. Give it up for my boy AJ, because that's a wrap for AJD Reptiles. Ladies and gentlemen. All right, bro. Have a good night. Thank you so much.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, bro. Talk to you soon, AJ. Peace out, bro.
See you, man. Thank you.
Whew. Gecko breeders. What a guy. Got to say, that was an amazing episode. Learned a lot. Super fired up to get into the Gecko game someday. Got to say, good shit. Please go give this guy some support. I feel like a lot of you guys who are really tapped into the game are already fucking with my man AJ. So kudos on you guys. But please, it's never too late to get the likes up. Why don't you get the likes up for my boy AJ? If you happen to tap into this late, it's okay. Never too late to get the likes up. Drop a comment. Let me know what you liked best out of this episode. My Trap Talk Patreon members, are you ready for the after party? That's right. Trap Talk after party going down right after this episode. As soon as I hit end broadcast, Trap Talk Patreon after party for all my Patreon members. Not too late to join the Patreon family. Go down to the link below, very first link. Click onto the Trap Talk Patreon link. Join the family. And in that community post area of the Patreon family, you'll see the link to the after party. So, guys, I will see you guys right now. I got to say, big things popping off this week. I want to say mainly because I'm bringing somebody who I've seen grow quite so much in this game. And she's a fucking full-time teacher, full-time mother, full-time wife. She's an amazing wife. Shout out to her husband, Dan. But I am so happy to bring my day one trapper, my homegirl, Lily Nagatani. Exotics to the building. Oh my God, guys. Can you please tap in for this episode? I'm so happy to bring Lily to the fucking show for New Breeder on the Block series tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Lily, I hope you're ready, man. I really hope you're ready because it's going to be an amazing episode. We have a lot to talk about, Lily. God damn, we do. And guys, I got to say, my biggest thanks to all of you for all my love and support that I've been getting throughout the whole year and that forward, man. It sucks because last year I did not have a Traps Giving to present to you guys. Well, guess what MJ did this year? I lined up quite a bit of a Traps Giving podcast lineup for you guys. This Thursday night, excuse me, not Thursday, Wednesday, take it back. Wednesday night, 2022 Traps Giving with guess who? Your boy MJ and Chris Eaton and friends. Oh man, do we have some homies tapping in this Wednesday? Just my thanks to you. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be fucking legendary because that's what this podcast is. It's legendary. It's the coolest reptile podcast in the world. God damn, AJ, what a show. Appreciate you, buddy. All my Gecko breeders out there, if you're trying to fucking hit me up, if you want to get on this show, Gecko breeders, hit me up. Let me know if you're relevant. No, seriously, hit me up. I want to know what's good. Sunday is not going to stop anytime soon. I'll see you guys at the top.